Hello, I am Bill Chase. I am the Area Claims Manager for RCIS Crop Insurance, and I represent the states of Hawaii, California, Arizona, and Nevada. And the necessary evil is the disclaimer. This material does not change the content or meaning of our current policy provisions or loss adjustment standards and cannot be used to determine the outcome of a claim. Now, the topics I was asked to discuss today are the pre-acceptance inspection, good farming practices, producer records, causes of loss, and the notice of loss. The pre-acceptance inspection. So when your agent submits an application for insurance, this activates the pre-acceptance inspection. This is an underwriting process to determine the insurability of a crop and includes the necessary data to accurately establish information such as the planted acres, tree spacing, tree count, age of trees, pruning practices, weed control, pest management, wildlife control, harvest dates, production history, vigor of plants, etc. The way that you answer these questions help us ensure that the policy is written correctly and that the premium is applied correctly. This also enables us to understand the farming practices of the grower so that in the event of a loss, the adjuster can refer back to the inspection report to see if there are any changes in the cultural practices since the previous inspection. What determines good farming practices? The RMA definition of good farming practices will vary from crop to crop and from region to region. A good rule of thumb is that you should follow all the practices considered prudent and responsible by the local extension agents, certified crop consultants, to produce your crop's historic yield. In the basic provisions of the crop insurance policy, the definition of negligence is the failure to use such care as reasonably prudent and a careful person would use under similar circumstances. When we reference good farming practices, we are looking at the historical farming practices of the grower to determine if they're still adhering to them. We also will verify that the grower is taking the necessary steps to maintain their trees or their fruit as required in the Hawaii tropical trees crop provisions and the Hawaii tropical fruit crop provisions. When challenges arise with the new diseases or insects, we then defer to local experts on how best a grower should approach these issues. Your local extension agents and agronomists or researchers are who we fall back on for expert advice. We do understand that there's more than one method to successfully grow coffee. Producer records. In the event of a loss, a grower will need to provide records to verify the entities, shares, legal descriptions, acreage, etc. Provide complete harvesting, production, and marketing records of each insured crop by unit, including separate records showing the same information for production from any acreage that is not insured. If the cause of loss involves insect or disease, we would require records to determine that adequate steps were taken to control the insects or disease. These could include spray records or receipts for the purchase of applied chemicals. When a grower is vertically integrated and no records for sales receipts are available, an appraisal will be completed prior to harvest to establish production. The RMA definition of producer records is found in the LAN. This is found in section 203C, subsection II and D. This authorizes the adjuster to obtain records relating to the planting, replanting, inputs, production, harvesting, and disposition of the insured crop from any person who may have custody of such records, including but not limited to FSA offices, banks, warehouses, gins, cooperatives, marketing associations, and accountants. The insured must assist in obtaining all records the AIP or any employee of USDA authorized to investigate or review. Any matter relating to crop insurance requests from third parties, if the insured fails to provide access to the insured crop or the farm, authorize access to records maintained by third parties, or assist in obtaining such records, it will result in a no indemnity due for the crop year in which the failure occurred. There are additional record-keeping requirements found in the special provisions of your policy that do go beyond what is required by the loss adjustment process, and it's important that you consult with your agent on these issues. Causes of loss. This is taken directly from the Hawaii Tropical Tree Provisions, sections 11 through 12. And I'm actually going to read section number 1. Causes of loss. In accordance with the provisions of Section 12 of the Basic Provisions, insurance is provided only against the following causes of loss: adverse weather conditions, disease, but not loss due to insufficient or improper application of disease control measures, insects, but not loss due to insufficient or improper application of insect or pest control measures. Nematodes are not an insured cause of loss for coffee trees that are less than 5 years of age. Fire due to natural causes, unless weeds or other forms of undergrowth have not been controlled or pruning debris has not been removed from the field. Earthquake, volcanic eruption, tsunami, wildlife, unless proper measures to control wildlife have not been taken. Failure of the irrigation water supply, if due to a cause specified in Section 11A. Destruction of live trees that were determined by us or PPCB to be infected with BBTV or PRV, and for which to obtain our consent to destroy such trees in order to control the spread of BBTV or PRV. Causes of loss for fruit. This is taken again directly from the Hawaii Tropical Fruit Crop Provisions. This is found in sections 10 and 11, and I'll just read the first paragraph under section 10. Causes of loss. In accordance with the provisions of section 12 of the Basic Provisions, insurance is provided only against the following causes of loss: adverse weather conditions, disease, but not damage due to insufficient or improper application of disease control measures, insects, but not damage due to insufficient or improper application of insect or pest control measures. For coffee, nematodes are not an insured cause of loss on any acreage of coffee trees less than 5 years of age. Fire due to natural causes, unless weeds or other forms of undergrowth have not been controlled or pruning debris has not been removed from the field. Earthquake, tsunami, volcanic eruption, wildlife, unless proper measures to control wildlife have not been taken. Failure of irrigation supply, if caused by a specified cause of loss in section 10A. Destroyed trees that have been infected with disease whose destruction is authorized by us, in addition to the cause of loss excluded in section 12 of the Basic Provisions. We will not insure against damage or loss of production due to the inability to market the crop for any reason other than actual physical damage from an insured cause specified in this section. For example, we will not pay you to indemnity if you are unable to market due to quarantine, boycott, or refusal of any person to accept production. Submitting a notice of loss on trees. A written notice of damage or loss of production for each unit is to be filed by the policyholder within 72 hours of the policyholder's initial discovery of damage or loss of production, but not later than 15 days after the end of the insurance period unless otherwise stated in the individual crop policy. The policyholder should refer to the individual crop provisions for the additional requirements in the event of damage or loss. These notifications can provide the opportunity for insurance provider to inspect the crop and determine the extent of damage or potential production before the crop is harvested or otherwise disposed of. Submitting a notice of loss on fruit. This is taken directly from the Hawaii Tropical Fruit Crop Provisions, Section 11. You must notify us within 48 hours upon determination that a disease has infected the unit that will require the fruit tree to be destroyed. You must notify us within 3 days of the date harvest should have started if the crop will not be harvested. If you intend to claim an indemnity on any unit, you must notify us at least 15 days prior to the beginning of harvest or immediately if the damage is discovered during harvest, so that we may inspect the damaged production. You must not destroy the damaged crop until after we have given you written consent to do so. If you fail to meet the requirements of this section and such failure results in our inability to inspect the damaged production, we may consider all such production to be undamaged and included in production to count. You must also notify us at least 15 days before any production from any unit will be sold by direct marketing or sold for cash. Anytime that you need to submit a notice of loss for either your trees or your fruit, it needs to be in writing and submitted to your agent and adhere to the guidelines of the individual policies. If you're not able to submit a timely notice of loss, you should still submit your notice to your agent in writing, and it can be evaluated by your adjuster to determine insurability. Inspection requirements upon receipt of the notice of loss. After the insurance provider receives the written notice of damage or loss, it will be processed and, if necessary, a loss adjuster will be sent to inspect the damaged crop and gather pertinent information concerning the damage. If the policyholder wishes to destroy or not harvest the crop, the loss adjuster will gather the appropriate information, conduct an appraisal to establish the crop's remaining value, and complete any forms needed. If the crop has not been harvested or will not be harvested by the end of the insurance period, and the policyholder wishes to file a claim for indemnity, the loss adjuster will gather the appropriate information and assist the policyholder in filing the claim for indemnity. It is the policyholder's responsibility to establish the time, location, cause, and amount of loss. I know that's a lot of material, and it really can be a little bit dry and uninteresting. But it is important to understand. So if you would like further information, it can be found at the RMA website, which is rma.usda.gov. And there you will find links to the Hawaii tropical tree and tropical fruit crop provisions, the loss adjustment manuals that we use to analyze your crops, and the Hawaii tropical fruit and tree insurance standards handbooks. And again, I realize this is difficult material to understand, and I would encourage you to bring your questions to one of the upcoming Q&A sessions. Thank you.